everyone. Welcome back to the American Experiment podcast. My name is Grace Keating. Today I am joined by, what was it, Bill Stop the Tape Walsh?
Oh, yeah, that's a little pretentious. Let's just go with Bill Walsh. You're going to say stop the tape today.
Oh, okay.
You'll be the stop the tape person.
Wow, a lot of pressure. A lot of big mantle to take up.
You can handle it.
Yeah, we've got some excellent, I would say, rage bait even content regarding our camouflage hat wearing buffoon of a governor, as I think Scott Jennings said at our annual dinner.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Walz is a good go-to for this program and actually for American Experiment. Whenever he gives us material, we feel like we have to use it.
Yeah.
The audience does react very well to it. Our click rates go up, our open rates go up, and our emails.
What a cynical way of putting it.
Well, you know, he keeps saying stupid stuff.
It is simply irresistible. He opens his mouth. It's pretty hard to not react, I would say.
It's our duty.
Yeah, it really is. It is. We are doing our civic duty today. A little later on, we're going to have some breaking poll results. We were just in the field over the weekend. What, Saturday?
Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We were in the poll. So very fresh poll results from our Thinking Minnesota poll of 500 Minnesotans chosen randomly, contacted via phone or cell phone or landline. with a plus or minus rate of 4.38%.
Thank you. I wasn't, but thank you. So the rest of the results are going to come out this July with our summer issue of Thinking Minnesota, but we'll get a little teaser today, but that'll come later on. I'm really quite excited about these clips, so I think we should just jump right in. Isaac, let's play the first one.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
set it up, Isaac. Hold on 1 second. This is where is he? It says on the screen.
It does say he's at the South Carolina Democratic Convention over the weekend. This was Saturday. Our governor is apparently making the rounds nationally, setting himself up again as some sort of
and let's start there because you got a state budget that's not finished. We're in overtime. They couldn't get their job done. They got legislative leaders meeting at the Capitol up until Friday, and then they had to all take a break because the governor had to go fly to California and South Carolina to give speeches to Democrat organizations. Obviously setting himself for a potential presidential run. So what is his plan exactly? In the short term, are you going to help lead and solve and get a budget deal? Your presence is required here in Minnesota. Layoff notices are going out to state employees as of early June here. And you've got less than 30 days to get a deal done or the whole thing shuts down. Is that what he wants? So that's number one. And long term, you're going to run for president. You're going to run for governor first in 2026. Win and then immediately be running for governor in the 2028 cycle. What kind of a governor are we going to get out of you if you happen to win a third term? So a lot of questions why he's even
right, and he doesn't care. He's clearly shown he doesn't care about Minnesota, the state that he was elected to serve in, because he always got bigger fish to fry. He thinks that he can be a national contender, and he doesn't care to help out the people that voted for him and elected him.
So here he is in South Carolina. I think our first clip is South Carolina. Then we have some California. The speeches were a little different. There's some information in both that we'll pull out, but we'll just roll the tape. I guess is as good as anything to get the tenor of the speech.
The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce.
Okay, stop the tape. I'm sorry. I'm stopping it early. That is such BS. This is the party that has worked so hard to be mean over the last 5-10 years and completely demonize and vilify everyone on the right. Anyone who ever voted for a Republican, they're calling you a Nazi. They're saying Trump is Hitler. And he's saying that we haven't been mean enough. If that's not mean enough, what does he want to see from his party?
Well, yeah, that's one point. The other point is, why would that be a political philosophy or a communication strategy?
Right.
Be mean. I mean, I be tough, maybe be strong, fight back.
Sure.
But be mean, it takes it to another level. I mean, we want to be civil. We want to be strong. We want to make our points. We want to argue, and try to convince Americans, in his case, because he's in South Carolina today, or Minnesotans, that this idea is better than that idea.
Right.
And be strong and forceful. And not back down, but be mean. I mean, I don't.
But that's totally in line with his character.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll sort the rest.
Because we have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back. You push back. You make sure they know it's not there.
All right,
gosh, stop the tape. It's so...
we said it together.
It's so bad. And again, to hear this he's talking about a president who had 2 assassination attempts on him, who was actually shot, and he sees that, and Walz says, okay, now I'm going to go on stage in front of a crowd of people and call for us to be meaner to that guy and go out and, what did he say, bully the shit out of that guy?
Yeah, I mean, Walz he's this teacher, we're anti-bullying, but I've covered this guy since he's been governor, worked at the legislature for senators against him in these budget fights and things. He's a bully many times. He's showed bullying qualities. If the press challenges him at all in a press conference, he goes really fast, really kind of negative, and really attacks and dismisses and attacks really, and then like leave no argument. There's no possible way you can argue with me. So I don't know about him calling people bullies.
Yeah, if someone challenges him, he shuts them down right away. That he did that to us at a press conference just a couple of years ago. Someone had said, "Hey, have you seen that report from Minnesota's think tank on people fleeing the state or something?" He said, "Oh, is that the normal think tank?
The usual suspects?
Usual suspects? Well, I will dismiss that as it should be dismissed."
Right.
But that's who he is. You're so right. He is very much a bully himself.
So let's talk a minute about you. He said go after. He used the S word.
He did.
In going after President Trump. I listened to the entire California speech. We're going to do a couple clips from the California speech. I think he speaks for 25 minutes or so. And this new, not new, because it's new relative to him kind of getting on the national stage. This new, I swear, in my speeches, Tim Walz. We had to study the psychology of what he's trying to do here. He didn't do this when he ran for governor originally. I would say most of his first term, he didn't do this. Then he started getting a national profile. The first time he did it, and we wrote about it on our website, I must say a year and a half or 2 years ago, he spoke to a national union group, trade union guys, construction guys, I think. And he delivered this speech, which we did a similar exercise today, where we found that a number of swear words interspersed in the speech, like a lot.
Yeah, it's like 20 times in a 20-minute speech.
Yeah, and so it's obviously a strategy. Like, right. I'm going to swear. I mean, so I'm trying to think if I'm in his office and we're working on the speech, and it's like, well, let's sprinkle in a lot of tough swear words to show that I'm a man of the people.
Yeah,
to
is this
show
the code talking that he was talking
about?
Code
talking.
Reaching those white men?
I honestly, as a political hack, I don't get it. I don't get who he's appealing to, because as you appeal to that crowd that wants to hear you swear, I guess, you're losing a lot of people that would rather not hear you swear. You're losing a lot of people that think a governor should be professional and distinguished and worthy of the office, and not, be a potty mouth and speak that way. And here I'm going to say that. Now I'm going to read a bunch of these. I mean, this is in this 20-minute speech, and I apologize. I'm not going to read them all, but these are the little phrases he threw in this short speech, and we're going to do a couple clips from it. And I'll just go fast, maybe. And then if you have kids in the car, maybe you turn this off, because it's just going to be a bunch of silly words. But so it starts. He describes Nancy Pelosi as a badass. He says, "Well, hell, the midterms are 500 days away. They're really pissed off at Washington. We're good people for." I'm not even going to say that, for Pete's sake. "You can be cruel a-hole for killing school lunches. The big, beautiful bullshit. Acting like a jackass since the shit show started. Those poor bastards. Not one damn thing moderate. No shit on that. We've got to find some goddamn guts. What a dumbass. Who the hell are we as Americans? We are damn sure going to talk about guns." That's the list that I just found in that 20-minute speech. It sprinkles in all those phrases. Why does he feel necessary to use that kind of language? I don't get it. I think it's wrong. It's a bad political strategy. It's a bit offensive. It's not necessary. It makes him look like a I don't know, a rube.
Well, and it doesn't work because this is sort of a new strategy for him. It feels incredibly inauthentic. And he's trying to, connect with this demographic of people who gravitate towards Trump because he is so, authentic. He feels like a real person. He is talking the way that they talk about the issues they care about. And Walz sees that, and all he hears out of that entire analysis is, "I need to swear more."
Yeah.
And people sense that it's not real.
So anyway, I think we can roll a clip, and I don't know if I can't remember if he swears in this one or not, but you heard all those exchanges, and we'll see if we've got one in this first clip from California.
They're terrified of the 19-year-old Doge dweebs rooting around in government, mainlining Four Loko, acting like a bunch of jackasses.
Oh, there it is.
Who flipped the wrong switch.
A bill.
And all of a sudden, seniors aren't getting their checks.
All right, stop the tape. A couple things in there. I had to look up Four Loko. He said mainlining, so that the Doge guys are mainlining Four Loko. That is apparently it was a caffeinated alcoholic drink. I'm just not hip enough to have taken it or used it. But so Walz is hip and cool. Maybe somebody wrote that speech for him because he and I are the same age. So maybe he's used Four Loko. He's a big Mountain Dew guy. Essentially, it's Mountain Dew with alcohol in it. So I had to look that up. But this is part of him being hip and cool and using swear words and things like, that was a rehearsed line that he wrote in there. Mainlining, Four Loko, dweebs,
and Doge dweebs. Those guys should make a T-shirt with that on it. I would wear a T-shirt that said that.
And his point is so stupid because I think he ends with the seniors aren't getting their checks. It's like why don't we just talk about what's actually happening and not what the fear of something that might happen? These guys live their lives with Trump, especially in the first 5 months, talking about things that might happen because these decisions we made when none of it's happened. None of it's happened that they said was going to happen back in January, February, March. And so we just keep putting these things out there like seniors are going to be missing their checks. Talk to me, Governor Walz. Don't swear when Minnesotans actually start losing checks because of Trump administration actions. It's not happening. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and if you have to make stuff up to make your point, maybe reevaluate your position. If that's the best you can come up with is making something up that hasn't even happened, I don't know.
Well, yeah, fear. Fear is
it's
a
all
really
fear
good
mongering. Yeah.
Yep. All right, next clip from California.
And you can see it in the decisions they make. Ripping away health care from millions, that's the cruelty side. Tax cuts for billionaires, that's the corruption side.
I stopped the tape. Stop that right there. So again, ripping away Social Security for millions, not happened, hasn't happened. Tax cuts for billionaires. I mean, so tired and so old. Tax cuts go to people who pay taxes in the first place. So when you're a billionaire, you pay a lot of taxes. When you cut the rate, you get money back, or you're not going to have to pay as much tax into the government next year. It's simple math, but it's used to demagogue. I can't believe it works anymore, but they keep doing it. Well, it didn't work. He didn't win the presidential race, obviously, no. But just such simple demagoguery to say tax cuts for billionaires. In this speech, I think he gets more specific and says that the guy making less than $50,000 a year,
he says like us, actually.
Yeah, like us. Only get $300. And that's not enough to buy a refrigerator or something. Well, a $300 tax cut is a hefty tax cut of your federal taxes for the guy making $50,000. That's a good tax cut. That's a healthy tax cut for everybody. So he admits that everybody who pays taxes benefits from the Trump tax cuts, extending them, including people that pay a lot in taxes and people that pay a little in taxes. Everybody benefits. Gosh. It's just demagoguery. And so he's doing this kind of riff, the one against the other. So we got a couple more of these. Roll it, Isaac.
Tariffs blowing up budgets and destroying small businesses. The cruelty side of it, a free jet from Qatar. There's your corruption.
Stop the tape. He said Qatar, which is kind of interesting because I have an interesting experiment with Qatar, the country. If you say Qatar, somebody in the group you're talking to will say, no, it's Qatar.
Right.
If
that
you
would
say,
be me.
If you say Qatar, somebody in the group will say, no, it's Qatar. But he said Qatar.
He came up with a third new option.
Maybe he's right. Maybe it's Qatar. I don't know. My son-in-law was in Qatar and he said Qatar. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
He did a 6-month tour in the Air Force there. So I'm going to say that you probably heard people say it over there. But nonetheless, okay. I've already forgotten what the first part of the again
tariffs, small businesses.
Suddenly
Walz cares about small businesses. Walz, if you could bring some of that care back to Minnesota and stop taxing our businesses so much, that would be great.
Well, that's a real thing. Tariffs ruining small business is a fake thing that isn't happening. So again, we're talking about fear of things that could happen, but not happening yet. But we talked about like they are. And then the airplane has been so overblown. It's so silly. And I guess it works. The demagoguery again is like Donald Trump is receiving an airplane, like it's going to be his airplane.
Right.
He's going to take it with him when he's done being president. How absurd. The country is giving our country the plane. It'll be reformatted into another Air Force One. So it's a gift from country to country. It's not his plane. The insanity of that, I can't even deal with.
That's all they've got. All they've got is smoke and mirrors and lies and fake outrage. That's all they've got to stand on.
So again, Walz thinks people are stupid, basically. So we can say tax the rich. We can say he's getting his own airplane. And people believe it. He thinks people believe it. I don't believe people are that dumb. They understand that an airplane given from one country to another is a gift for the country. It'll be used for the next president. gee, maybe Tim Walz, if you can beat the next Republican and be the presidential nominee, you'll fly in that plane. Wouldn't that be great?
Good luck.
One more of these, I think, Isaac.
Disappearing people off the streets is the cruelty. At the same time, they sell access to the White House to the crypto bros and the corruption.
Okay, stop the tape.
It felt like they held up a sign at that moment that said boo. Like there was such an awkward pause while he was waiting for that reaction. And it came in just at the right moment.
I mean, here we go with the van. We've addressed this on this program before.
The unmarked vans.
The unmarked van,
yes.
Pulling these poor,
These
immigrants.
poor law-abiding non-citizens.
And sending them to gulags in other countries. I mean, this is law enforcement. This is ICE. This is people with deportation orders. This is people that are criminals. They're not getting anywhere near anybody that Walz is worried about for a year as they go through their list of bad people that need to be removed from this country. You saw the guy today or yesterday in Boulder, Colorado, on Pearl Street there throwing Molotov cocktails at Jewish protesters. That guy needs to be deported. So an unmarked white van to pick him up and get him out of the country, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's who we're talking about, Governor.
Most of the country is fine with that, actually.
Yeah. So just absurd. And then the crypto bro thing, criticism of Trump for continuing to do some business while he's president. I'm not thrilled with that. Jesse Ventura did some of that when he was governor of Minnesota. He kind of tried to keep some of his outside business deals going. And it was a little, maybe you should be focused on being president and not working on some business deal. But, there's no rule or law that says you have to stop being who you are in terms of business. But I would think he'd be too busy for that. So I'll take the criticism of the Florida trip.
That's how fair we are here
Yeah,
on the
there you
American
go.
Experiment podcast.
All right, I think we have one more. We have one more clip, maybe two more. One more. One more, says Isaac, the producer.
And I would say it's because we have to have competence to get the basic stuff done, like helping folks find meaningful work that pays a living wage so they can buy a home in a safe neighborhood and send their kids to good public schools.
All right, stop the tape. Okay, he's talking to an audience in California about giving meaningful work so you can buy a home that's a safe neighborhood so you can send your kids to a good performing school.
All of Walz's worst issues in one sentence.
Yeah, in Minnesota, we're failing on all of those things. I mean, GDP growth is falling faster than the national average. We're now below the average GDP. It used to be a premium we had. You can't buy a home in Minnesota right now. We did a whole series. We did an event in Duluth the other day on how hard it is to buy a home in this state.
Thanks to government regulations.
Safety. I mean, look at what the happenings of the weekend. David Zimmer's writing a piece right now, if it's not already up on our website, about here we are, first week of June, summer comes, and the crime starts. Out at Boom Island, 6 people shot, 1 dead.
Minnesota
just this weekend.
Yeah,
and then to a good public school. Governor, your public schools are failing. Less than 50% of the kids can read or do math at grade level. Nothing's going right in the schools right now. And by the way, a safe school. I think you said a school where we're not worried about getting shot. Governor, a year and a half ago in one of your schools in St. Paul, not far from where you live in the governor's mansion, a kid was stabbed in the hallway of a school and died. So our schools aren't safe in Minnesota, whether it's a gun or a knife. You can't. He's an ambassador for Minnesota success around the country. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
It's just a joke, and it's worse than that. It's disgusting and it's unfair to the Minnesotans who are living here, who have lived under his leadership since 2019 and have seen us become a high crime state for the first time in a long time. They've seen our test scores going down as education spending's going up. They're seeing Mississippi, Black and Hispanic kids outperform our Black and Hispanic kids here in Minnesota. He's an embarrassment. He's turned our state into an embarrassment, but he gets to go on a national tour and brag about his nothing accomplishments here.
Yeah, I don't know. Good luck. Good luck. Try again. You ran the first time. It didn't work. And one of the reasons for the loss was his presence on that ticket. Certainly.
Yeah,
so go
I
for it.
certainly think so.
Go for it. Try again.
Well, let's see. Should we do our little polling teaser?
Yes.
Maybe hopefully something more positive?
I don't know. Sure.
Oh dear.
Sure.
I hope it's more positive.
Yeah. I mean,
trending better for Minnesota.
Well, if you feel like it's positive that Minnesotans think the right way and are responding to our poll about issues where they should be, not where Governor Walz is necessarily, or where the House Democrats specifically are and some of the Senate Democrats. But we were in the poll, like we said, last Wednesday, Thursday, and then we take Friday off for polling, and we're polled Saturday afternoon. So results came in this morning. We asked a number of questions. You'll get those. You have to wait for most of the polling to see the next issue of Thinking Minnesota magazine, which is free magazine still to all annual sustaining members of Center of the American Experiment. You can become an annual sustaining membership for just $35 a year. But if you act now, you can get that for $25 before July 1. Become an annual sustaining member of Center of the American Experiment for all of our work to get the free magazine, which has the complete poll story. Okay, end of the commercial.
Go to AmericanExperiment.org and click the magazine button.
Thank you. Or click donate. Yes.
Or click donate.
All right. So we asked a couple of questions that we want to release right away because they're relevant to the budget discussion that's going on at the Capitol. One of the big hiccups in the budget discussion was healthcare, free healthcare for illegal immigrants in the state of Minnesota. That was passed in 2023. It's now being implemented. It looks like the costs are going to balloon. In other states, the costs have ballooned out of control. It breaks the budget. Many people sign up and utilize a lot of healthcare.
Shockingly, people want free healthcare.
Well, sure. They sign up and they get it. So it actually was part of a deal that the governor and Democrat leaders in the House and Senate agreed to with Speaker Speaker Damuth. And they had a press conference for the deal. We talked about this on the show with Mark Johnson last week. And then a bunch of rank and file Democrats in the House and Senate protested
legislators
that deal, pounding on the governor's door while they're having the press conference. So it's in jeopardy. This deal they cut to eliminate free health care for adults that are illegal immigrants. The governor pushed to keep it for children. Not sure how they figured that out, but that's what he wanted. Fine. They had a deal. 61% of Minnesotans support that deal, basically. We asked, will you support free health care for illegal immigrants? And 61% said no, 37% said yes. And just to look at the breakdown, even because I think, wow, 37% of the people still think that's a good idea to get free health care for illegal immigrants. Democrats broke 65-31 in favor of free health care for illegal immigrants.
That's interesting.
And only, as you look at the numbers, the raw numbers, 183 people out of the 500 that we polled said, yes, continue funding free health care for illegal immigrants. So out of the 183, 143 of those identified as Democrats. The rest were some independents, a few Republicans.
Oh, there you go.
93% of Republicans said no free health care for illegal immigrants. 65% of independents said no free health care for illegal immigrants. So
that's good news.
There's some good news in that. The public is more conservative on that question and does not support it. So we're going to release that. It'll be out with this podcast, and the legislature, the leaders that are negotiating should take this into account and say, wow, the public is does not with funding free healthcare. So we are good to go to get rid of it. And those rank and file Democrats got to get in line, or they can vote no. Whatever they want to do. So that's issue one. Issue two is another. We've had talked about on the show before. We had Senator Cruan on from Blaine. One of his legislative accomplishments was to pass a bill to fund a new inspector general office to root out fraud, find fraud, investigate fraud. It would be independent from some of the agencies, not housed in an agency. It really got bipartisan support in the Senate, got an overwhelmingly positive vote.
Because it seems like such a no-brainer.
It is. A no-brainer. We did a stop the tape on this, I think, because the House Dems said at a press conference how important it was. Then they went to the floor and they voted no.
And they also said, we've been working on this for years, guys. We've always been working on fraud this whole time. And then like the week after, another fraud story broke, millions of dollars gone.
Yeah. And they voted to kill this on the House floor. And so it's dead. It should be revived if they have a special session or when they have a special session. This Inspector General bill should come back up and get funded. We asked Minnesotans last week how they feel about it. 72% of Minnesotans support an independent office of Inspector General with law enforcement abilities to really investigate fraud in state government. So 72-24, and you can guess who makes up the 24% that thought that was a bad idea.
Sure.
So those
fraudsters.
are the fraudsters. Yeah, if we happen to catch fraudsters on the phone in the polling, or certainly people who identify as Democrats, that's kind of how it's gone in our polling. So a couple of nuggets for breaking news on the podcast. Minnesotans do not support free healthcare for illegal immigrants. They do support creating a new office of Inspector General to root out fraud.
Yeah, so the message to the legislature should just be hold firm, stand strong on these issues. Yep. Minnesotans want these. These are winning issues. Just get the thing passed. My gosh.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think we should bring on our special guest for the day, Jill Sandager, our events coordinator here at Center of the American Experiment, who is going to give us kind of a tour of I'll wait to say it, our exciting upcoming event series for this summer. All right. Well, Jill Sandager, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Will you please do us the honor of announcing our summer tour event series?
I will. So our summer tour, by popular request, is Minnesota Doge, cut the waste, save the budget. So
love it.
And we've already gotten some great feedback about people are excited to hear what we have to say. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea comes out of D.C., obviously. President Trump, Elon Musk, the Department of Government Efficiency, huge success. A lot of the stuff that they've identified needs to be codified by Congress, and they're having trouble in the courts too. But the popularity of it and the things they've identified, it all makes really common sense, a common sense approach to budget. So kind of the thought process was, what if we did that in Minnesota? What if there was a Minnesota Doge effort? And Tim Walz isn't going to launch it. We checked with his office. There's no plans.
He went there first, I'm sure.
For them to launch anytime soon the office of Doge in Minnesota. So American Experiment decided we would launch our own version of Minnesota Doge. So that's going to be the presentation. It's about an hour. We're going to have some fun, try to make it interesting because it's government and it's a budget. Could be boring. Could be like think tank boring.
Stop saying
So
it could be boring.
it could
it's going to
be
be so interesting.
There's going to be flamethrowers, throwing
Really?
things at the
I
crowd.
love that. We're not quite done planning, so that's great. That's a great idea. But we will. What we'll do is, first, just to give you quickly, I assume you're going to ask me to do this. That's why I'm here, right? That's why I stayed.
It is why you stayed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just content-wise, a quick recap of where we are, both kind of long-term as it relates to GDP growth, which we talk a lot about here, taxes and how they affect the budget, and how it affects migration, the wrong people leaving the state, the wrong people coming to the state, and how that impacts the revenue side, and then the spending, obviously the spending. And I think we're going to end, if they ever finish this special session, and our first event is on Thursday, June 12th, which is next week. If they're not done, it's going to be a little shaky in terms of what we talk about, because what we're probably going to say is they finished the budget and it's out of balance. That's going to be the key, balance. And we're probably going to we're working on a scale of some kind. So when you come in, this is about the fun part.
Yeah.
This is about making numbers fun. The budget will be out of balance, and there'll be a real scale with weights on them. And then we're going to identify over the course of an hour, real cuts, real things that we can stop doing, change doing, lower the cost in the state budget, as a Minnesota Doge would do. We're going to identify those as we go through the state budget, and you're going to see as we do, we'll bring the budget into balance. That's the first step. It's going to be about $2 billion out of balance when they finish, and then we'll keep going. We won't stop there. We'll continue to identify more permanent spending cuts so that we can actually cut taxes and get the front end. We talked about the economy moving again and GDP growth going. So you'll walk out of there thinking, okay, it's not that hard to cut the state budget in a way that won't affect anybody that comes to our event. Nothing's going to change their life. And so we're gonna do this presentation. It's gonna be fun to walk through it, and as we kind of balance the scales, and then we're going to present it to the legislature. We're going to encourage people to, call your legislator and tell them, here's the list. When they say, what do we do? How do we cut the budget without everybody, throwing grandma out of the nursing home and all
people dying in the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, my
not
gosh.
getting their health care.
Exactly.
Right. Well, you saw Tim Walz is in his great, all these horrible things are going to happen. No, bad things won't happen. We can do this. And you're going to see the blueprint from our really smart policy people as we walk through the entire budget.
Sure. So Jill, when was the first event?
The first event kicks off in Owatonna.
Okay.
On June 12th.
Okay. And it's a Thursday?
Double check. Yes, it's a lunch event on a Thursday, June 12th. And then we're heading back up north to Lakeville that same night. So that'll be a happy hour event. So
okay. So what is the balance of lunch and evening events?
It's pretty evenly split. There might be a few more evening events just because I think people can get there
sure
a little more easily after work. But there's a good mix of evening and lunchtime events. So
And we're in a town near you, right?
Yes.
I mean, you go ahead and read the list.
I
You
will.
brought the list. I mean, we're in suburbs. We're in greater Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're all over the state.
So Owatonna, I'll read through them in order.
Sure.
Owatonna, Lakeville, Mankato, Hutchinson, Chaska, Newport, Vadnais Heights, Otter Tail, Brainerd, Bemidji, Duluth, St. Cloud, Maple Grove, Marshall, Wilmer, finalizing Wilmer and Marshall right now, Rochester, Coon Rapids, Edina. And we have a few extra days at the end of July to add a couple more locations as the demand shows.
So, I mean, nearly 20 cities around the state. We
Yes.
are trying so hard to get around to everyone. We can't make it to every square inch of the state, but we sure do try.
We do
And there's
try.
some new thing like Marshall. I don't know. We've been to Marshall since I've joined the American Experiment. That's kind of a new location
that's
for
new.
us. Wilmer, we've been, I think, to Wilmer, but not that often. So
Yeah, so how do we choose these cities, Jill?
Well, some of the cities were encouraged by Mike Amory, our Greater Minnesota director, and he gave me a list of places that he wants to visit. We've also combined with a list that we've visited in the past that have had good turnouts. Some of them were returning that didn't have great turnouts, but we think it's important to be in as many locations as possible to get the word out. So
Right. So Mike is the one who's been going around the state kind of previewing this concept, right?
Yes.
He's been getting some feedback from
Yes.
people.
And he's been met with, that's a great idea, to cheers from the group, to, oh, we need to have this so bad. Like, very good feedback. So
I'm so excited about
Yeah.
this concept. I mean, Minnesota's budget is in an absolute state of crisis. Even if they can somehow meet their constitutional crisis or constitutional requirement, pass a balanced budget, we are still taking in more every year. Or no, we are spending more every year
Yep.
than we are taking in. I mean, this isn't even Econ 101. It's like Econ 001.
Yep.
And cuts are going to have to be made. And I'm so thankful to have an organization in the state of Minnesota who can step in and offer recommendations to the legislature and say, you have a problem. First of all, here's how you can fix it.
Right. We're going to give them the blueprint, and it's going to be an interesting, hour. And we'll have room for questions at the end. And if people have suggestions on where to cut the budget, they can certainly email them to us or bring them to the event, because we will have a Q&A at the end of these proposals, their presentations. The other thing is if as we typically do in this kind of summer tour, if there's a ready-made audience out there that you have and you want a speaker to come and give this presentation to, we are always willing to do that. It saves Jill a lot of work because the venue is chosen, the audience is already there, the advertising's on the other side. But we will travel and we will give this presentation beyond our schedule of events. So into August, I'm certainly willing to do it. I know our policy fellows are too. So let us know. Just events at americanexperiment.org.
that's a good place to go.
right.
And where can people get tickets?
They can go to events. Nope,
Flip
that's
it.
the American Experiment /events.org.
Yes.
So
americanexperiment.org. There's also a big white events button you can click too if you find your way to our homepage. Jill, thank you so much. Anything else our
Absolutely.
listeners should know about the tour this year?
Will you be at every event?
I will not probably be at every event, but I will be at all the Metro events and several of the Greater Minnesota. So I'll probably be at 80% of them.
Yep.
So if you want to come say hi,
Come say hi.
come say hi.
I'm so excited. Well, you guys, thank you for tuning in this week. Remember to go online, get your tickets for the Minnesota Doge Summer Tour event series. Remember always to like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, do all the things to help us reach more people, and we will see you next week.